Hey, you. Yeah, you, my ambitious coach or consultant or service provider or speaker. Are you sick and tired of feeling like your business growth is stalling? Well, could it be that you just don't have enough sales? Of course it could be. And I am going to help you with that today, because today I am going to give you the secrets to my key 5 steps in an amazing sales process that can get you to multiple 6 figures and 7 figures as quickly as possible. Are you ready to find out what those 5 steps are? Good, because I'm ready to give them to you. So let's get to work. So step number 1 in the sales process is to create an automatic inbound lead generation strategy. That, my love, is the very first step in any sales process, right? You got to have leads coming into your business in order to be able to sell them. Now, honestly, and complete transparency, the lead process that you're going to create is going to be a whole separate process. And I talk about it, even in the video that I did, I believe last week or the week before, when I talked specifically about what your lead process or marketing strategy should be about. So when you create a marketing strategy, and I talked about how there are 3 big strategies in your business that you always want to have, marketing being one of them, inside of that marketing strategy will be your lead generation process and what that process is, because it in itself has step-by-step things. But that marketing strategy will also include your content strategy, your content calendars, your social media plans and strategies, all of those things, your face-to-face, your networking, your speaking engagements, whatever your content delivery mechanisms are going to be, what that strategy is going to look like for your business, and most importantly, what that step-by-step lead generation process is. But really, in your sales process, it picks up right where that marketing process lets off, and that's always about getting leads into your business. So getting leads is always the very first step, and I want you to make sure that you check out my other video. It's called Waking Up to 0 New Consulting Clients. I'm going to go ahead, put the thumbnail right here, and also have a card that will drop down for you to be able to access it, where I talk about this particular thing. But you got to do it every day. Ultimately, it's the most effective lead generation strategy, especially for consultants, coaches, speakers, and service providers. And you got to check that out in order to really get through this first step in your sales process. Now, step number 2 in your consulting process is to schedule your needs assessment or your discovery call meeting. And this is a step that I have been doing as a consultant from the very first consulting business that I started almost 25 years ago. And the reason why this is important is because consulting is a very consultative selling process. It is completely based off of needs. You have to really understand the needs of your prospect in order to be able to put together deliverables, a scope of work, and ultimately a needs assessment to tell them, these are the problems that we talked about you having. These are the problems that you mentioned to me that you have. And this is why I am the best expert and problem solver for you to hire. Because in essence, when you are taking on being a consultant or even a coach or a service provider or a speaker or anything like that, you are really becoming and in the business of problem solving. I oftentimes talk to folks who say, I think I could be a really good consultant, but I'm just not sure what it takes to be a good consultant. And the number one thing that I say to them is, well, I can help you. If you answer one question for me, you'll know if you'll make a good consultant. And they're always like, what's the question? And I'm always like, are you a problem solver? Are you the person that when you hear someone that has a problem, immediately starts trying to figure out solutions to end that problem and ways and action items and steps and strategies in order to get to that solution? If that is who you are, and in essence, at your core, how your brain functions and works, you are going to be an extremely successful and very effective consultant, which probably means that you will be able to make a lot of money at any given time in your career, because when you have that problem solving ability, that is what people ultimately pay you for. And it isn't expertise, it is a skill set that not everybody has. Damn! And so you've got to make sure that this step is really important, because you've got to spend time on this initial call. And back in the day, it was not a call. Back in the day, I used to do them all face-to-face. So I had to set up like several face-to-face meetings with people. Now, with the wonderful world of Zooms and Google Meets and Teams and all of those things, you can actually really shave off a ton of time in this step and just get on the phone with your prospect and conduct a needs assessment call. So the needs assessment meeting is the paramount. It is the most important step really in this process, because it serves as your foundation for a successful client engagement. And here are the key reasons why the needs assessment meeting is so crucial. First, it helps you really understand the client need and build trust and rapport, right? You spend a lot of time in this particular step asking a lot of questions, really understanding your client's needs, and for you to be able to understand if you can be the solver of those problems. And when you're building rapport and you're kind of building that trust, it's because as they're giving you information and as you're asking those questions, you are able to kind of chime in with little mini bite-sized pieces of value. And that's one of my favorite parts about the needs assessment, because while this conversation and this first step is really about you getting the information that you need from the client, it is also your sales call. It is also a combination sales meeting. And the best way to do that is to give them little bite-sized, pieces and chunks of value in order to make sure that they understand that you are trustworthy and that you can be the solver of the problems that they're expressing to you. And so I would say this meeting is probably 70% listening and 30% selling. But if you are doing an effective job at delivering little bite-sized chunks of value throughout the conversation, and they really need to be natural chunks of value, because if you're anything like me, when I'm in a needs assessment with a client, I am so focused on providing them with solutions and helping them experience a transformation that I get really pumped up and really excited about those solutions. And my brain just kind of starts to work towards all of these ways that we can solve this problem. And I'm able to kind of just in bite-sized pieces deliver that. And ultimately it begins to build that rapport and build that trust for me that lets them know, wow, that's a great idea, or wow, she came up with that, or woo, I would have never thought of that. And it really solidifies why they might need to really retain my services as a consultant. So it's absolutely important for those reasons. And it also allows you to customize your solutions and make it feel like a very personal experience. As a consultant or even as a coach, you are going to be selling high ticket services. People are paying you for your expertise and skills. And when you are a specialist, just like a cardiologist or a specialist that's a doctor, they make a whole lot more money than just the general practitioner. Have you ever noticed that? A surgeon makes a ton more than an ER doc. I mean, ER docs don't make bad money, don't get me wrong, but the surgeon makes a whole lot more because they are specialists and they have a special skill set that people pay for. It's the same thing when you are a consultant. That's why it's so important to niche down as much as possible, because that specialty is what people will ultimately be able to pay you for, and you'll be able to charge more for that particular skill set. So in this conversation, you will be able to create the customized solutions that your clients are looking for in order to ensure that what that price tag is that you're going to be charging them is something that's going to be worth their while. And I think the last reason why this particular step, the needs assessment meeting, is so important is because it gives you the ammunition that you need to actually create the proposal. I'm going to get a lot more into depth in the proposal in an upcoming step, actually, but it's important for you to be able to create that proposal. If you've ever gotten to a point where you are in your sales process and you don't know what to specifically propose to your client, you don't know what information to include in your proposal, 90% of the time it's because you either skipped the needs assessment piece or didn't maximize the utilization of this very important step, this meeting, this call. If you've done a good job in your needs assessment or discovery call, the proposal development is going to be easy and it can happen very quickly. And this is where I oftentimes see a stall in the sales process. I'm going to get more into that in a little bit, but ultimately this meeting is also critical because it helps you do the next step, which is to kind of create that proposal and deliver it. And let's dive into step number 3, what I just talked about right now. All right, so you already heard it, but step number 3 is to create and deliver the proposal, my love. Yes, the proposal. So I have done proposal delivery in different ways, but before I get into what those ways could be, I want to talk about the creation of the proposal. Now, when I first started my first consulting business quite a bit of time ago, every single time I produced a proposal for a client, it was a brand new proposal, meaning I was starting from scratch. And that made the process go on very long. So I used to tell people things like, oh, you know, please allow 5 business days for me to put your custom proposal together and get it over to you. Now, over the years, I have learned how to really create basic templates of the proposal. And that allows myself, or actually my team now at this point, to plug in specific deliverables and specific scopes of work and timelines, but everything else in that proposal is pretty much a shell, and it allows us to really turn them around much more quickly. Once I began to map out the sales process that I'm kind of giving you an abridged version of right now, I was able to, over the years, tweak each of those steps and make each one more effective. And this particular step became truly efficient once I honed in on what pieces of the proposal could stay pretty much a template, and then which ones actually had to be customized for the client. So when I say create your proposal, I really do mean that in the beginning, it should take you a few days potentially. But what I want you to do, even if you are creating your very first proposal, is to create as many sections as possible of this proposal as a template, okay? Information that you don't have to change. And there's lots of different things that should be included in your proposal. There's a whole different section. And if you want me to do a video specifically on the consulting proposal and what the section should include and all that kind of good stuff, as a matter of fact, I think I may already have a video, but if you want me to kind of redo that or something like that, let me know. Put proposal please in the comments below, CP, and I will make sure that I put that together for you, because this is a very important document. This is your sales document. It kind of picks up in this entire sales process where your needs assessment and that sales call, right, those little chunks of value that you were delivering, it kind of picks up where they left off. So this creating your proposal, try to do a good job at templatizing, if that's even a word, templatizing, making a template. Whatever, we don't talk about it. Do a good job at trying to templatize it as much as possible. I'm gonna stick with that word because, you know, I'm gonna call it a CP-ism. Yeah, you know I got some CP-isms. Anyway. Okay. Try to stick to it and templatize it as much as possible. That way, it becomes really quick turnaround for you. The faster that you turn around your proposal, the quicker your sales cycle is going to ultimately be, your turnaround time, and then ultimately you'll be able to begin to kind of get ahead and make sure that you've got enough clients coming in on a monthly basis, because your sales process, you know, gets turned around, your turnaround time gets limited down. I had a VIP client that I was working on their sales process. We had to do a lot of refinement to it because their sales process that they were doing hadn't been documented. It was kind of being winged every single time, was about 30 days. So from the day that a lead came into her sales process until she would actually get a yes or no was 30 days, y'all. 30 days. I know, right? I was like, 30 days? What the heck? I mean, that's why you don't feel like you're making any money in your business. Your sales process shouldn't be longer than a week to 10 days, 7 to 10 days from coming in to coming out. That's where it should be, y'all. And a big part of it was the lag in between her getting information to people. So I really think that this proposal piece and creating it is going to be important. And then the delivery of the proposal is another important step, in another important aspect of step number 3. You can do delivery of the proposal in person or over the phone, or as a follow-up to the sales pitch, and give the prospect the opportunity to review the proposal on their own. Now, I have done all 3 ways, and I still do to dabble in all 3 ways. And it really depends upon how large the proposed contract amount is going to be. And that is my honest to God, complete 100% transparency with you. If my contract is a $30, $40, or $50,000 contract, then I deliver my proposals in person, meaning we schedule a follow-up proposal call or a face-to-face meeting, and I present the proposal in full-fledged fashion. I'm talking 30K or above. I mean, even up to 100K for a contract. It needs to be an in-person delivery because you want to be there to overcome any objections right there on the spot. You can also do it over the phone, and now Zoom kind of feels like it can be in person at the same thing. So I kind of have those bridged for me. You know, actually physically being there sometimes is a must, but Zoom can also count as the same same thing as long as you got your cameras on it and you can actually share your screen and do a presentation. And I'm talking like, 30K, 20K, maybe even and above contracts need to have you actually presenting. But right now for me, I will actually provide my proposal to folks electronically and have them review it and come back with any questions that they have if it's less than that amount. And I always say, please review it, take a look at it, let me know if you have any questions, and then I begin kind of my follow-up strategies. Now there's a whole different process that I use for following up, and actually there is a whole video that I have on following up that I'll go ahead and link to. We just did. I'll link to it right then and there to give you some ideas around that follow-up strategy. But what this means for me is in this step is if it's a less like a $5,000 contract or something like that, or a $10,000 contract, I will have the conversation, do a lot more of the explaining and the selling during the needs assessment and discovery call, and then say you're going to receive an email message shortly with the proposal. Take a look at it and let me know if you have any questions. So that means that I'm just kind of delivering it electronically. But that is step 3. Creating and delivering your proposal is going to be important and imperative. And that, my love, is a step that you cannot avoid and you cannot skip in order to have high conversion rates and to successfully turn your prospects into customers. Now, before I move on to step number 4, I do want to give you guys access to one of my favorite tools, and it is absolutely free for you. It is my perfect consulting proposal template. It's one of my most popular freebies that people grab and access to, and I'm going to go ahead and make it available to you. If you are looking for a template that you can base your proposals off of, please feel free to grab it. You can grab it in that link down below or the one that's in the comments, or you can just go to CherylCperez.com/consultant proposal template and grab it. It is absolutely yours for free. It is my proposal template. Mine might be a little tweaked right now, but it's my proposal template for you to use to incorporate into your business. Now, step number 4 in your consulting sales process is to follow up until you get a yes or a no. Did you hear what I said? Follow up until you get a yes or a no. Now, the follow-up process is a whole separate thing. And like I've already mentioned, I have a whole nother video that I did focused completely on various follow-up strategies. And it's really important. You've got to follow up. So following up is a must. And I would say a minimum of 5 times you have got to touch base with your prospect. If you don't get a yes immediately, you got to follow up at least 5 times. 80% of all sales are made after the 5th follow-up. Did you know that? So if you are stopping at 1 follow-up or 2 follow-ups, or even worse, no follow-ups, you are missing out on a ton of sales, and you are ultimately decreasing your conversion rates. You're decreasing your sales. So you've got to follow up. And I've got so many different strategies and ideas around following up. So, but my follow-up process is completely automated. I used to actually do it manually and by hand. I had salespeople that worked for me and that were on my team that did it manually and by hand. And it was just cumbersome. We were constantly tracking the numbers and following up and seeing on which step in the follow-up strategy and process and funnel were people actually converting on. And I still look at those numbers regularly. It's funny to talk about. I'm actually going to be talking about numbers and the specifics of those sales numbers in next week's video. So make sure that if you're finding value and you want to talk about those numbers and find out more, that you go ahead and like this one. First of all, like this video for me, but also subscribe so that you can take a look at that video for next week. But following up is so important. So again, check out last week's video, follow-up strategies for this particular step, but you got to do it till you get a yes or a no. The worst place that you can be is what I call sales purgatory, where your prospect is in between a yes and a no and you've got no answer at all. I always say getting a no is better than getting nothing, and getting a yes is the best of them all, right? Getting a no is better than nothing, and getting a yes is the best of them all. That's a CP impact tip there for you. So yes, make sure that you follow up. Step number 4 is a must. And then let's talk about step number 5. And step number 5 in your sales process is closing that deal. Yes, getting your proposal accepted and getting your service agreement signed. You cannot forget this step. It's huge. Consulting services, coaching program services, all of service, providing services, even speaking services, all require a service agreement. They all require some type of contract or agreement, because you want to make sure that you are clearly and explicitly signing an agreement with the prospect. I would tell you, maybe my first couple years as a consultant, I did not have agreements. And I had one of the worst consulting experiences of my entire life when I was living overseas, where I was actually working for someone for 6 months, doing work for them in their organization, helping them build their nonprofit from scratch, and never received a dime for the work. Yes, you heard me. I never received a dime. I mean, I was broke as hell living overseas, all because I did not get the proper contract. I did not get a service agreement. It did not dawn on me that I needed one. And from that point on, not only did I perfect getting a service agreement, but I perfected what the service agreement contains at that point, because that experience was such an eye-opening experience. I mean, it is, y'all. I mean, if you've ever had that happen where you've done work for somebody and they've never paid you, then yeah, you know what I'm talking about. And if that happened because you didn't have a service agreement, that is why step number 5 is so important. So close the deal. First things first, you get them to accept the proposal. And this is all automated for me right now. It is a completely automated process. You get them to accept the proposal, they check a box, they say yes, they click a button, and then the service agreement is populated and created. It is sent to them, and then they ultimately have to sign it. Once that's signed, bonus tip here, bonus step, then you get your invoice delivered and you get that initial deposit taken care of, and boom, your sales process is your sales process, because you have actually sold some shit. Yes, you have. You've sold some shit. So you heard me. I mean, after step number 5, the big bonus thing is just getting your money. Getting your money in process done. Sending out your invoice, or even better yet, giving them a link to ACH you, or actually put down a credit card so that you can automatically bill them. I love that one. Some contracts and some organizations, especially when you're working B2B, don't allow that. They really do prefer the whole send me an invoice and I'll pay you thing. I am really trying to get out of that space, y'all, of the invoicing piece. I just think it costs unnecessary money, and it really is very difficult to automate, because I have told you I am an automation queen. I am a process and automation queen. And so the sales process that I just talked to you guys about is actually what I use in my business right now. It is also what I create, very custom, but it is what I create with my VIP clients and my VIP days. So if a sales process is something that you need and you want to work with me on actually creating one in your business and automating as much of it as possible so you can live a life of freedom and still make sales while you are sleeping or on the beach somewhere, please let me know. Hit yes CP down in the comments below, or go to CherylCPerez.com/VIP application and apply for my VIP program. If the application period is closed, it just means that I've got kind of a backlog and maybe a wait list, but go ahead, put your name on the wait list, and as soon as the application period opens, you will receive an email to apply for us to get on a discovery call. And that is it, my love. So you heard me, all the steps, 5 steps to a critical sales process. It is successful. It has made me millions, and absolutely love it. It could work for you 100%. And again, if you like this video, please make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, my love, thank you so much for joining me. Stay safe. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye. Mwah!